Hey everyone, this is Elias from Match Media, and today we have the 2021 E450 4MATIC Coupe. Yeah, E-Class in a coupe configuration. Should be an interesting one. Well, let's get started. Now looking at the front, for the 2021 model, we have a different grille than the previous gen. And the previous one had kind of like some slats. And we have the front-facing camera here. This car has a 360 view, so it helps to make sure that you don't hit something or something doesn't hit you. So nice to have. We definitely used it a lot because this front end is a little on the longer side and it just kind of comes down really quick. Plus, I kind of like to sit a little bit on the lower side, so I would always activate the front camera, make sure that our front here was not hitting. The headlights are LED, daytime driving lights, regular headlights, as well as the tail lights. These were clean. These were a very clean light. We took it on a fairly long road trip and we were able to see the road nice and clear. That was the big thing, is sometimes you get these very bright lights, but they kind of fatigue your eyes, or they kind of make you tired. Not these were nice and effective. Down here we have this opening. There is some kind of airways, I guess, on the side, but I kind of feel like this part here should definitely be open, or at least give it this same treatment where you have that kind of shiny metal look to it, to really continue that design. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and look under the hood and see what we got. We get under the hood and we are dealing with a 3.0 liter inline six turbocharged engine, but with a little bit of a twist. And that twist is electric power. So this has a mild hybrid system. This is pushing out 362 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers through a 9-speed automatic and through the 4MATIC four-wheel drive system. Like I was saying, those numbers can't be right. Those numbers can't be right, because the amount of power this thing feels like it has is significantly more. Now, I know that the peak numbers are sometimes, just that, the peak of things. But I feel like the curve, the power curve, is just constantly on. Here's what happens. When you're off the line, it's gonna use that mild hybrid power to get it going, because instant torque with electric power is where it's at, as far as, kind of getting off the line. So it uses that mild hybrid system, gets you off the line and gets the revs going to then have the turbos kick in, or the turbo kick in on this, which works so well. And I guess the way you can describe it, if any of you guys are Need for Speed fans, underground usually, is when you're kind of going and then you hit the nitrous button. That's what the turbo feels like. It just kind of gives you this kind of even more of a bigger rush going forward. It does kind of feel like that kind of feel when you hit that button. But it just works really well. The power is always available, which is why those peak numbers, they're not that high relative. Obviously 300 horsepower, almost 400 is a lot, but it definitely delivers it in a great way. Always on, always, there's no holes, there's no power holes, there's no feeling of one thing taking over the other in a bad way. It just keeps going. It keeps going. So this has literally been one of my favorite engines. Yeah, I can literally say that. This has been a really great drivetrain. Come down to the wheel and tire package, and we have the 19-inch twin 5-spoke AMG wheels on this with the black accent on it, and it's definitely nice design. I love the way that it looks, you know, the contrasting brushed aluminum look to the black on it. It's funny because Gabe said that this looked like a mini turbofan, or kind of going towards that, like looking like a turbofan, which is great. It's a nice, cool design to it. And we have them wrapped with the Pirelli 245 4019, because this is a 19-inch wheel, but these things had a lot of grip, especially in the rain. We got some really bad rain when we were driving on a road trip, and I felt very confident in the traction that it had. I didn't feel hydroplaning, so it was really good tire, and in the dry it worked very well as well. But yeah, overall it's a very good package. Only thing is, I do feel the bumps a little bit on the harsher side on the wheel, not necessarily the suspension, but the wheel. Like it's a different feel to it, and yeah, maybe a little bit more tire, but overall it's definitely a great package to have. Now let's go to the side and take a look at the profile. Now we look at the side profile, and it's an E-Class. Yes, I didn't say the wrong class. It is an E-Class. So the E450 Coupe though. Yeah, I mean, like I said, typically E-Classes to me were always 4-door. And when we were told, yeah, you're gonna get an E-Class, I thought, oh, perfect road trip. We're gonna have 4 doors. A whole family's gonna, you know, me, myself, and my wife are gonna, well, myself and, so me, myself, my wife, and my kid, we're gonna be in the car with no problem. But again, when we received that it was the coupe version, I was a little hesitant on making it a road trip car because of, you know, sometimes coupes are not the most comfortable. But this proved me wrong. So a couple of things. Again, we see the nice big 19-inch wheels, definitely look great with this proportions. And it really is like a 2-door, you know, touring car. It is fairly long, you know, but it's really well. Like the proportions look really nice on them. Mirrors have the camera, like I said, 360 view. Now, one thing I want to show you with this is when you open up the door, you have, again, it's a frameless glass, but one thing that that I really like about this is, again, we put this window down, but when we need to get our kid in, just a little handle here, it moves forward. There's actually plenty of space for an adult to get in without a problem, so they can sit in the back. And when we put our kid in though, pro tip is if you roll down the back window, because yes, this is a 4-window coupe, so you are able to put the rear window down, and now I have all this space in here, and I'm not literally needing to get in here to buckle him in. I can literally buckle him in from outside. Makes it great. The only thing is, and I'm sure obviously we don't, you know, when they're press cars, we can't assign them to set up the Me program that this has, because I would like to have like an all windows down. I don't know if the remote does it, but it doesn't have a specific button. I don't know if there's a configuration. I hope there is, but that would be ideal. Get all the windows down so that you have that way of getting in. Now, he is on the passenger side because typically when you're in the driver, it's easier to hand something off on that side. So it was a little difficult. I always had to run, you know, turn on the car, put the window down in order for my wife to be able to put him in without having to go in. So that was kind of the only thing. But overall, this function was great. The fact that it has 2 windows in the back. My only concern, if you take a look though, is this does have a frame. So this has a frame on this side to make the seal with this. Now, with this side, when they both meet up, I don't know, long term, this seems like maybe this might deteriorate. You know how sun, especially in Texas, even though it's cold right now, the sun decided, yeah, let's go ahead and shine, which is why I'm kind of squinting. But yeah, I don't know how effective long-term this seal might be. So that might be one thing that I might be a little hesitant. Almost kind of like how a lot of sunroofs fail, you know, or cause leaks because of bad seals. That would probably be my only concern when it comes to this. Again, he gets in, put the seat back, get in, and you're good to go. But yeah, I love that this is classified as a correct coupe. Not like some cars that you guys Mercedes say it's a 4-door coupe. No, that's a sedan. I get it. Some of you are gonna say, well, it's because it's got the coupe styling, but it has 4 doors. That's not a coupe. But yeah, this is a true coupe plus. So I like, again, the fact that you do have a lowering window in here with just a couple of buttons. Now let's go to the back and see what we got back there. We get to the back and let's talk key fobs. You guys know it's my favorite thing. With this one, it's a little on the simple side. I'm sure the Mercedes Me or ME, I don't know how they say it. I bet that app has tons more things that I could do. But unfortunately, like I said, with our press cars, we are limited on what we can do. But when we take a look at the back first, and we have just these LED taillights, just the lines of this are just spectacular. I really, really love the rear of this car. It looks beautiful. With the key fob, you have the option of pressing it open, which obviously nowadays with curbside pickup, it's definitely useful. That's definitely needed, so to speak. And we have a couple of buttons up here. We have the button to you know, just close it, and then we have the button to lock it, which will actually lock the car. We go ahead and we close it, and yeah, no remote start. I wish it did, but again, I'm sure that Mercedes ME or Me app does have it. We can also push the Mercedes logo and it will open up the trunk. And we just have a lot of space in here. There's a ton of space. I have my camera bags and my GoPro bag case here. You could, again, even though it's a coupe, this actually behaves like a sedan. And we have compartments. We have a compartment down here as well. We can store more things. Just a lot of good space, useful space. You have a 4-seater car. You could easily fit 4 or 5 people's worth of stuff in here. So that's good. And again, we have the handles to bring down the front seats and, you know, give yourself more cargo room if you need to. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's a great design. Oh, one more thing, the exhaust tips. Are they real or are they fake? In between. I think we're gonna make this a segment now. Are the exhaust tips real or fake on the Mercedes E450? It's an in-between. So the reason why it's an in-between is because it's not the shape. This is not the exhaust tip shape. It is on the bumper, but behind that, there is the exhaust pipe that goes right up against that, but it's not connected and there's still a gap. So yes and no, it's not fully closed like in other cars, but it's not the whole exhaust opening there. Well, let's go ahead and get this closed and we'll hop in and go for a ride. Getting into the E450 4MATIC Coupe, you are greeted with, you know, the typical Mercedes things, and that's a good thing. You know, just really high, precise looking quality materials. With this one, we have, you know, when we get started with the seats, you get in and these are the two-tone black and white leather seats, and they are cooled and heated as well. But you also have massage. Yes, this has the massage, and it's so good. And so when we get in, you know, they're really big and comfortable, so you're definitely gonna love these seats. Now, when we take a look at the door, we see, you you know, the different settings of the seats. This is something, again, it's something very Mercedes, and you have to get a little bit used to having your settings on here, but it makes total sense. It's such a small detail, and that's what this kind of car is. It's all about the small details. So having this here has always, it's been different, but it's been the right thing, because you're always fighting, trying to figure out where the handles are and all the switches on this. No need. On the Mercedes, nice on your door. And again, you have your heating, your cooling. Right now, even though it's cold, I'm still cooling it down, but we have that. Then we have the sound system here. Not only does this Burmester, I'm probably butchering it, but not only is this sound system sound great, but it looks beautiful. The grill on the speaker is spectacular. It's really, again, it's a very precise machining done to that little grill. So it's definitely to the both like a smaller, you know, speaker, and then what looks like to be the tweeter. So it's definitely a great sounding system, and it looks beautiful. And then again, here we come down to, you know, just the door handles. We have nice leather wrapped in white. It wouldn't be my ideal kind of setup, because I have a kid, and kids are dirty, and they will get it dirty. So with this one, I would probably go black on black. Now we get to the steering wheel, and the steering wheel is very Mercedes, you know, very sculptured, flat bottom. So that's always a winner. We have the flat bottom, and again, it's just very sculptured, leather wrapped. It feels great. The buttons are a little bit different than what I was used to in the GLB. So these are a little bit different. One thing I do feel I'm missing is the next track swipe. Yeah, I'm having to do it down here on the input device. So that was one thing. Now I do have volume, which is great because it's just kind of like slide up and down motion on it. But I don't know if I like this as opposed to like that little tactile wheel they had before on other ones, or just, you know, it's different. But you know, we have that, and yeah, your cruise control we were able to use on our really long road trip, and it was great till it got a little confused as to where we were on the highway. It thought we were on the side road, so when we went to the side road, when it thought it was in the side road, it dropped my, you know, because it matches whatever the speed limit is, and Texas being everything bigger, 75-mile-an-hour speed limits, which are great. But then it caught that 35, thinking it was just slightly off, and I wasn't on the right lane. I was actually on the furthest left lane, you know, passing a car, and then it went ahead and dropped it down. It didn't decelerate drastically to, you know, be an accident, so to speak, but it did alarm me. It did alarm me when I did feel the speed go down. So that was one of the things where I was kind of confused and thinking, okay, maybe we shouldn't be using the cruise control as much. But yeah, that was definitely something that I was a little kind of confused by and more scared than anything. And then of course you have the shifter paddles in the back where you can shift your 9-speed transmission that this has, which works great. And yeah, they're on the steering wheel. They're not on the column like the Alphas are, but this isn't bad. I mean, for this one, I didn't see myself shifting that much with them. We have the windshield wiper on the left-hand side, and you spin it. So you spin the little stalk to activate your windshield wipers. Couple of things, or actually to do just a quick one, there's a little button there which you just press. If you hold it down, it's gonna throw the water out, which we'll get to soon. So we spin the little stalk, but it was a little weird because the slowest speed was actually very fast. I know I'm nitpicking on things, but you know, on our road trip, we caught some bad rain, but we had that kind of like floating rain where it's like not really hitting the windshield. It's just kind of in the air and you're just kind of going through it, kind of like fog, obviously. But it was too fast for what I needed, and it was just drying it up too fast. And yeah, you know, yeah. So we definitely were to slow it down would be great. Again, I'm nitpicking on these little things. The other great thing about this is the water jets for the windshield are not on the hood. They're actually in the windshield wipers. It is so smart. It is really great to, you know, it's definitely a significantly better kind of experience for it, because, or actually performance, better word. They perform better because the water is going pretty much straight on the area where the windshield wiper is about to go on. It makes sense. It makes sense to do that because you don't want to just throw water and it's very loose, or not loose, but just very spread out, and now your windshield wipers are here kind of going on a dry spot, and you know, yeah, streaks and things like that. But this just works really well with having them on the wipers. Long term, I don't know if, you know, brakes, you know, what the replacement would be on something like that, but it definitely is a better option for compared to the other ones. Only thing is, if the person behind you is being a jerk, you can't just throw your jets on to, you know, get them to stop tailgating you. So you have that downside. Now we come over to the right and we have the gear selector. It's on the column. I would prefer to have it on the center console, but then I started using it more, and I don't mind it on the column. It actually, this one's better. So this one is better than the GLB. The GLB that we drove was very tiny. I thought I was gonna break it. But this is like the full size stock. So this is really good feel to it. So definitely a better upgrade with this specific model. And so yeah, that's kind of what we have here. And again, these seats are just so comfortable. They're really great long-term road trips. And well, a couple of things more is the massage is spectacular. My wife loved it. And the kinetic seating option is great. What that means is basically it will adjust your seat to how it will move you. It will move you and not keep you in a static position, so that if it kind of, I don't know if it feels your body weight shifting, but it will ever so slightly shift you. And it kept me alerted, kept me refreshed, which is amazing, especially if you're using this as a long road trip. My wife said, hey, what's the least expensive Mercedes-Benz that we can get with that option available? Because she just loved it. Because she said, if you know, other cars don't have it, what's the cheapest Mercedes we can get? Which I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments. But yeah, it's definitely something to have. It's spectacular. Mercedes, you guys did an awesome job with that, because she was refreshed and was able to kind of keep awake with the kinetics running. Only thing is the timing, so it doesn't always stay on. You have to kind of activate it every so often. So we have that. Now, coming over to the gauge cluster, we're back to this system, but I feel like this guy here could have been pushed just slightly over, because steering wheel here is actually blocking kind of this view here. So anything that's around here, which right now I can see it's my AC, I can't see that. So definitely that, if this were pushed just ever so slightly off, maybe about an inch or two, would have definitely been better. Now, would it have been? Yeah, no, I see the precision. You know, you have it centralized there. So yeah, but again, these screens are spectacular. You have so much information that you can change all these dials, and you can move them again from your steering wheel. You have the little kind of touch joystick, so to speak. It's not a joystick, it's just a touch, like a touchpad. So you have that, and again, it works really well. There's so many customizable options. It's endless. I probably still haven't found anything. One thing I didn't dislike is, you know, on a road trip, you want to keep an eye on your tire pressures and things like that. In other brands, it's very easy. You're just paging through things and it will show up. Not on this one. I had to go through multiple menus to find it. And even then, I haven't changed it because I'm scared of not being able to find it again. But for my road trip, the way that I had it set up was my speedometer on the left. Then I had when I found it, the tire temperature, I let out a little thing. So the tire pressure in the middle and the miles per gallon. There we go. my miles per gallon on the big right. I didn't need the tachometer. I wasn't driving. It wasn't a performance driving thing, so I could care less what the RPMs were. I was trying to get the miles per gallon. So that was, that was a great setup that it was able to do that. Now I said tire temperature because there is a temperature on each tire. I don't know if it's got to be the tires with the tire pressure monitoring system, because so you can actually see the temperature, which is great. I don't recall this being in the AMG Mercedes that we drove, the big SUV. So, and it had a ton of track things. Again, I don't know if I don't recall if I was able to find the PSI on that, but this has the tire temperature, which is great. You can see kind of where it's warm and where it's colder. Now, coming over to the center console here, the entertainment system, it's great. It's a little confusing. It's a little in-depth. There's a ton of things to this. I've been getting used to this. Is now our third, I believe, Mercedes, and I am feeling more comfortable with navigating it. So you're gonna get frustrated with it at first because you're gonna try to find things. Just make sure you have a good memory to remember where things are. So we have that. And we have, again, this nice piano black trim here that just looks great. It looks nice and clean, and again, precision, German precision. And these, these kind of aluminum anodized, brushed aluminum AC vents that we're so used to with Mercedes, that just looks so industrial. Industrial is really the word, so it works great. With this, the next thing was one of my biggest pet peeves with Mercedes, the AC controls. It was such a pain to get them, to check through the menu system to get anything. They have this here now, and it just works easier. Very simple. Thank you for simplifying it and having this nice clean list or row of buttons. One thing that was cool is we got to actually, in this one, we did get to use the air freshener. So this has a built-in little container that you put inside your glove box, and it freshens the air. So it has an air freshener smell. It's nice. It's very subtle, so don't feel. So someone like myself or my wife that can get bad allergies with perfumes and things like that, it was great. It was nice and subtle. My wife was like, I smell it just a little bit, and it's enough to make the car smell nice. Especially, if you have kids or you decide to grab some food. Yes, I know you're driving, you have food in a Mercedes, but sometimes if you have to make a food run, especially now with curbside, we gotta get our barbecue, from Rudy's, which is our favorite, and we get. Yeah, you have to have some food in here sometimes. We don't need it in here. Barbecue in here would be a mess, but we get it. We get it, and that little air freshener really helps out with getting that, keeping the air fresh in here, and the ionization as well. It's a different kind of air. It's a pinkies up kind of air. Yeah, it's on a whole other level kind of air. So it's definitely a great air system. Weird that I say that, but yeah. And then we have, just some controls over here, some basic functions. We come down here, and here's when it starts to get not that great. So we have the cup holders in here. They're not bad. They can hold pretty big cups. There is a wireless charger. This one does have a wireless charger right in here. it's kind of useless if you have a cup. It's kind of, actually, I mean, it's not bad. So it's not bad. You can shove your phone in there. If you have drinks here, you're fine. But if you're wanting to use Apple CarPlay with the cable, which again, it is USB-C only. This Mercedes has only USB-C ports. So with that being said, you have to make sure that whatever device you have, there's a USB-C port on the other end of that cable. We were told, hey, you're gonna get a Mercedes. And I go, oh no, we need to get a USB-C cable. So that's, you know, quick Amazon order, we got one. I got a fairly long one, which is probably my mistake. And the reason why is because you connect the USB-C so that you can use CarPlay here, but there's nowhere else to put your phone. I grabbed my phone and I put it in the wireless charging area because it's a nice little area, but the connector is hitting the bottle. So it doesn't sit in there, or there's not enough space to kind of shove it further in. So yeah, this has to be re-engineered. Has to be re-engineered a little bit better. And so yeah, so definitely not my favorite thing. Definitely one of the things that we struggled when we were on the road trip. I did have to have kind of my phone on me, and because we do have a storage compartment back here, but the storage compartment doesn't have a little groove, or at least I couldn't find it, to run the cable from the front to the back like we did in lesser cars. Come on, guys, you guys are Germans. You guys are supposed to engineer this stuff. But it had just a little cut in the plastic so that I could run my cable from the front connection to the inside. And you're probably thinking, well, why don't you connect it on the inside? Well, why don't I? Well, that's because that's only for power. There is no communication for it to be the Apple CarPlay. So that was a big problem that we really encountered, and we were just kind of not having fun with this longer cable. Is the cable my fault? Yeah, but the fact that it's still, even if I had a very short cable, it wouldn't fit here because of any bottles we may have. You know, obviously on a road trip, you want to have something to drink kind of situation. Right now it's fine because it's just myself, so I put it in a cup holder and I'm fine. Coming down to the input device, or this little kind of button cluster area here, and we have a lot of great little buttons, and we have the driving mode. So we have the dynamic, the dynamic switch, I guess you could say, because it says dynamic. But we have on this, we go to individual, which lets you control the engine, the suspension, the steering feel, and the electronic stability program. It lets you individually control those. So you can change those and customize it to what you want. You have Sport Plus, Sport, Comfort, and Eco. So you can really feel a difference with the throttle. I think that's the biggest thing, and the suspension. The steering wheel, I don't think that much was a big thing, which isn't bad because it feels great in any, in the Sport or even in the Eco. It does have a good feel to it, but the Eco mode was great. So the great thing about it is when you're on the highway and you're coasting, it will use the auto on-off function of the engine that you usually get when you're at a stop, and it lets you gain some miles for that 1 gallon that you're not using at the time. So it's definitely a great little thing, and it doesn't tighten up the wheel. It doesn't change. It doesn't feel like a runaway car, so to speak, or runaway train, so to speak. So you still have full control over the car. The steering wheel doesn't lose. Again, like if you were to literally turn off a car and let it coast. So it doesn't have that feel, which is great. That's what you want. You want it to be safe. The moment that you touch the gas, it will immediately turn on, and it's pretty instant. Very tiny do you feel it. It's a very small little feel to it, almost non-existent. Especially if you're going at that at highway speeds, you won't feel it. So the other thing is the suspension. We were in Eco, which puts you in comfort. My wife did not like it. I didn't like it either. we were on some roads that were not the smoothest, but it was just very, the rebound wasn't there. And we were just really floating. We were floating and it got us sick. We were like, oh. So I tested it because she's like, man, this just doesn't feel good. I feel sick. So I switched it over to sport mode without her paying attention, and not a single complaint after that. And then we hit some really bad, really bad roads, and it just felt better. It felt, it absorbed it, so it grabbed a little, kind of that dunk, but that's it. And it's not saying that, comfort, that's what comfort's supposed to feel like, because it's not. I've been in other cars that have comfort modes, and you're gliding, but it's a very smooth, you're driving on clouds, so to speak. But this one was just like, oh, it just wasn't very pleasant. But again, sport mode was great. That's all we needed, and we pretty much stayed for the suspension on that. The other thing we have here is to raise and lower the suspension. So if you're probably not in the best of roads, you can raise and lower it. And it wasn't that it was raised or lowered, because I tried both things and it was still just kind of a floaty, in a bad way, feel to the suspension. But yeah, you can raise it, and I did raise it in some parts because there were some areas that, I didn't want to get that front lip kind of hit to it. Now it will, I don't know the speed limit to it, because it will only go to so fast before it just drops it down. Then we have the parking sensor. So this has 360 view. It works great. I can see everything, especially that front that really just cuts off, down. I don't want to mess up that front splitter. Press that, able to park, no problem. And then we have, one of my favorite things is the volume knob. It feels like, I guess like a cheese grater, so to speak, but I love this. I love this volume knob, and that's what I was using more over the knob, the little sliding thing on the steering wheel. We have the unit in the middle that lets you just kind of control things. Sometimes it was great with the weather being really cold. The inputs weren't being recognized accurately. Not just that they weren't being recognized, just not accurately. So a lot of times we were touching the screen, which, it's not my favorite, but it was fine. It worked well with that. Getting to the back. So you can see I have my kiddos seat in the back. And when we heard this, we were getting the coupe, I thought, man, this is gonna suck. I was like, E-Class. I thought that was 4 doors only, because I thought, okay, cool. At first I got E-Class, you're gonna be getting the E-Class. I'm like, perfect. Family road trip, not a problem. Tons of space, no issue. Coupe, what the hell? We're gonna have a problem. We didn't. So we didn't but there's a pro tip to this. So it is only a 2-door. There's tons of space in the back. The back seat is really, really big, because again, it's like if you literally made this 4-door and only gave it 2 doors. So it really goes in deep towards the back. The only thing though, because of that, when we were trying to buckle him in, we had to get in the back. We had to get in the back ourselves, because you're now having to reach extra further out to get to him to make sure he's buckled in, right? So the pro tip is the back windows roll down. Because the back windows roll down the side that they're on, and you're able to just kind of come in through the window and buckle them in. Makes it a lot easier, The only problem is that I don't know if this has like an all window down button. It probably does, especially with like the Mercedes Me system that unfortunately we can't test out because they're not our car. So they're not our car, and we don't want to, program a VIN to our account. But if there is an auto down, then that's perfect, because you can just set it, have all the windows go down, and be able to put him in, and buckle him in through the opening that the back window has. So that has been great. And again, there's tons of seating area in the back. Only thing again is white seats, a little tough, especially with the with his shoes because he needs to kind of use the seat a little bit to boost him into the child seat. And yeah, so it was raining, so I do have to clean that up. So you can have 2 adults in the back because in the middle you do have the cup holder, but they can fit comfortably. They can fit comfortably and they can get in pretty easily too, because this has the, seats go forward automatically, so it's not a problem. Really great. Again, a lot of space. If you're wanting that 2-door vibe or that 2-door design, but are still needing to carry, little ones or bigger ones, so you have that space in the back. Talking about space in the back, the trunk area is big. It's really big. There's a lot of space. There's a lot of compartment space underneath as well. You're able to just open that up and put a couple more smaller items in the bottom, but there's a lot of space there. So it's really, really great, useful. It's, again, very precise, a lot of space in the trunk. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like it for the car. Now let's talk performance. So a couple of things I'm gonna change is we are going to go to Sport Plus mode. So just a little flick of that little switch. We're going to go home. We're gonna go to the info, and we are going to show the engine info there. So we have a nice, cool little design, which we've seen it on other Mercedes as well. And let's get talking some numbers. So we have the 3.0 liter inline 6 turbocharged engine with a mild hybrid system. This is a great recipe for power. So you're probably thinking, well, those numbers you're about to say aren't that wow compared to nowadays, but we're dealing with 362 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Now, again, you're thinking, well, how do those numbers sound? Oh, through a 9-speed transmission, through the 4MATIC system on this, because this is the 4-wheel drive model. And a couple of things with this, the power is instant. The power is always on, always there. It doesn't lag. Here's what happens. So we have, I'm braking right now and I'm charging the hybrid system. It's charging the hybrid system, and when I get on it, the power is instant. Usually turbocharged engines, you accelerate and you don't have, you have to wait for the turbos to spool. That's where the hybrid kicks in. Hybrid is saying, okay, it's my turn, I'm up to bat, so to speak, and it pushes the RPMs up. And after it does that, the turbos already start to spool and they just kick in. But they kick in the turbo kicks in so smoothly. It's incredible. Yeah, I mean, it's just so smooth. And it just, the torque curve is probably just super linear. It's probably just yes. Like I don't even want to start it from the bottom when you don't start from the bottom, you're already at the top, it's really a great powertrain. I was surprised at how well this thing delivered the power. And when you're in eco mode though, it's just very quiet. It's doing its own thing. You can really use this on an everyday drive. It's not one of those cars where it's like it wants to kill you, which can be sometimes fun, but in a bad way. Like some cars are just too powerful and are bad when you're driving slowly. It's fine. I have, there's traffic ahead, but it's very calm. Like I literally don't, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, like I always say, but but this is to a very refined method. It's just very calm and it's smooth. You know, it sounds great, as you guys heard it when we were getting it up there. It sounds really good. One thing though, again, like I mentioned, is when it was in idle, it just has that weird ticking sound. It has a weird ticking sound, kind of like a diesel ticking sound. So that was kind of one of the things where I was like, but that's only when you're outside, and again, when it's idling. But who cares? Because you're not going to want to have this thing idling. You're going to want to get in and drive it and rev it. So it wasn't that big of a deal. It, you know, is it something mechanical issue? I don't know. It may just be the sound of the engine, but it definitely was it just wasn't pleasant. And I noticed this when I was getting the mail. I parked the car, I go to grab the mail, and it just had that weird sound. Now, the transmission is great, and you know, the shifts are fast. It does have rev matching, because when you downshift, it doesn't pull the whole, you know, just kind of that feel where it just, you know, your teeth are about to fall out of your mouth. It does definitely rev match. So that's a great little, yeah, I just downshifted to first, and you guys did not see, you know, you didn't see the jerking movement. And with this camera, yeah, we're feeling a little bit more on the vibrations, but let's get to third gear, give it a little bit of RPMs, and we'll go down to second. That's second. 1, 2, 3, first. Again, not much change in the balance of the car, which is great. But then when you get on it, you really go back on your seat. And that's great. You know, what's weird is I don't remember the other SUV, the bigger SUV we drove, which is an AMG and it has all the things. I don't remember that being as smooth as this is with the shifts. As far as the downshifting goes, it was throwing the SUV out of balance. And obviously you guys know that, or if you don't know, when you rev match a vehicle, the reason you're doing that is to, you know, match the revs and to not unsettle the car so that it still stays, you know, because if you downshift, you're transferring the weight, which might not be good if you don't want to unsettle the car. So downshifting and it rev matching is great. So I love that. That was probably one of my favorite things when it came to the performance side of things. And again, when you have the steering wheel, it just really feels good. It really feels stable. It works. This works. Okay, so who is this for? This is for a lot of people. If you're looking for two doors, you need more space, or just want to be comfortable, you have some great performance with this V6, with the inline six. It's not a V6, inline six. You have the power, you have the refinement, you have a lot of things. The price, yeah, it's a little up there, but again, if you're in this ballpark range, it will definitely be a great value. You get a lot, you really do. And again, it's not the cheapest. I know you guys are saying, well, I better be getting that for that. But again, it's definitely a great performance coupe from a sedan. Would I want AMG treatment on this? I don't know. As weird as that sounds, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I need it. I don't know if I want it. The reason why is because this is so well balanced. Everything works so well that if you can't augment everything but still keep this great feeling, I don't want it. It's kind of that whole Miata thing where, do you want more power? Yeah, you want more power. That's not bad, but you don't want it to kind of lose that feeling. And that's the weird thing, is a lot of these cars nowadays, you know, you hear all the car guys, all the older car guys, oh, you know, you're losing feeling in the car. You know, these new cars have no soul. Not this. This has a lot of soul, and it's surprisingly good. It's really, really good. But yeah, well guys, I hope you've enjoyed my review. I've had a blast. And remember to find the right gear. See ya.